I'm not actually going to sing. I'm literally just going to speak for 5 minutes. And then I'm going to ask Dylan to come up and sing. I realised today, actually, when I was in work, that I constantly, talk about God and stuff, but I haven't actually explained how I got here in the first place in terms of kind of what led me to where I am now. I'm not really explaining that very well. I'm really sorry. I'm so tired. We landed last night at midnight. No, we didn't. We got home at midnight last night, and then I was back up again for work. So I have said so many strange things today. I've had kids look at me and they're like, "You all right?" I'm like, "No, not today." But I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about my background, because as you know, that this is the church I go to, and I haven't just sort of popped up out of nowhere in that sense. I wanted to sort of explain my personal journey. That sounds like I'm going to be here for an hour and a half. I'm not. It's literally going to take 5 minutes. It's the shortest thing ever. So I grew up in a Christian home. Both of my parents were Christians, are Christians. And my dad and my mum were always really heavily involved in the church. My dad was a leader. My mum was a worship leader. So it's been a thing for me throughout my whole life. But my parents always made sure that it was a personal choice. They never forced it on me whatsoever. In fact, it was a sort of kind of, do you want to come this week? You're welcome to go somewhere else, but we're going to go to church if you'd like to come. And so throughout my life, I always knew that Christianity was a personal choice. It wasn't something that my parents could do for me, and they made that abundantly clear. But I love church. I was a little kid. I literally started coming to Baglan on the first day it opened 20 years ago, and I haven't looked back. I grew up here. I'm from just down the road, so this was like my little local patch, and I loved it. And so I grew up here. I met lots of friends here, made lots of memories in this church. And I was 7 years old, actually, when I decided that I wanted to become a Christian. And so I became a Christian when I was 7 years old, and that was my personal choice. I remember my mum sat down on the edge of my bed. I was like, "Mum, I think I want to become a Christian." And my mother literally went, oh my gosh. And she sort of like sat on the edge of my bed and was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yes, I'm sure." And so, throughout my life, I want to stress that it's never been forced on me. I've been told many times before, "Oh yeah, but your parents are Christian, so obviously you were going to become a Christian." No, that's not the case. My parents actually encouraged me to make my own decision, and they told me, "We will love you no matter what you choose, but we just want you to choose." And so, we just want you to choose what you want to choose. And so my parents were always fantastic. Anyway, I've got a little fan club going for my parents. They're fantastic people. So I always knew that there was something a little bit more than what I saw here, and I've always had the love for my faith. And so 7 years old, became a Christian. But fast forward a few years, and I go to comp, and I was loving life. I had so many wonderful friends. I had fantastic teachers. A lot of you are taught by them now, actually. Miss Pennington. Yeah, Miss John. Yeah, I know. They're all legends. I love them all. Fantastic people. And I was always really supported with my faith. I was encouraged to talk about it. I was encouraged to kind of be open about it. And so that's what I did. And so I sort of tried to live as unapologetically as I could. Then a couple of months ago, I talked about a relationship I got into. I'm not going to go into that now because we've been there. I'm not going down that road again. It was exhausting. However, got into a relationship which ultimately sort of led me into this position in my life where I was like, I just don't know who I am anymore. And I had a real crisis of identity. I just had no idea who I was. And I realized that I had completely wandered off, and I had chosen to just do my own thing. And I thought that was what was best for me. But it wasn't, because I ended up feeling super duper empty and anxious and depressed and lonely. I'm a barrel of laughs, aren't I? So anyway, I realized at the end of this relationship that it wasn't God that wandered away from me, it was me that wandered away from God. And I had made that decision. And as soon as I turned around and decided to recommit my life back to Jesus, that was when everything changed for me and my faith became serious. And that's how I'm here today. I got involved in the worship team at the church, and I became a worship leader, and I just, me guys, I love to sing. And so I really found where I felt I was meant to be. And God has been so good to me. I can't express to you how good he's been to me. But I I just wanted to tell you guys this because I'm aware that I come up here every week and it sounds like, oh yeah, she's got her life together, look at her, great, whatever. It's not that, guys. I just have an incredibly good God who loves me, but also loves you very much as well. And that's why I'm here talking about it. But there's a verse that I wanted to share with you before I finish. And it's Isaiah 54:10. And I should have really found this before I told you, because now I've got a app, so give me a sec. But this verse really got me through some tough times, and so I just want to share it with you guys before I finish. So it says Isaiah 54, verse 10. It says, though the mountains be shaken and the hills be removed, yet my unfailing love for you will not be shaken, nor my covenant of peace be removed, says the Lord who has compassion on you. And there was a time in my life where the mountains were shaken and it just felt like everything was falling apart. I was the lowest I've ever been. I was the emptiest I had ever been. I just had no real direction. I was completely lost. But he came to find me. He found me exactly where I was, hurt, broken, confused, empty, and lost. And he didn't ask me to change. He didn't ask me, you need to get yourself sorted because I can't really work with you right now. You're doing my head in. It was more, no, I actually want to heal you. I want to take those broken pieces and put them back together and make you better than before. And that's where I'm standing now. I now have peace that I can't explain. I've got joy that is completely unfathomable. Yes, I suffer with anxiety, but I'm telling you now, guys, it no longer overcomes me. I spoke in the youth cafe on Wednesday about how my anxiety got to the point where I just couldn't function. That's no longer my story. I'm just a child of God who happens to suffer with anxiety. But it's okay, because I have hope, I have peace, I have joy. And I can't even explain it. Genuinely can't explain it. I don't know how it happens. I really don't. All I know is that he provides those things for me daily. And so if you're here tonight and you feel like you haven't got a way out, there is hope, because I found it, because I found Jesus. And so that's what I wanted to share with you this evening.